A striking story has been circulating online. Supposedly, somewhere in the world, there's a settlement where for every one man, there are 100 women. The most famous version points to the Brazilian community of Noiva do Cordeiro, often described as a women-only village supposedly searching for men. The village gained international attention in 2014 after a false news story claimed it was made up entirely of single women looking for husbands. Since then, the myth has been repeatedly revived on social media, using photos from local events and presenting them as proof. But when journalists went to see what was really happening, it became clear that the story of a shortage of men was exaggerated and distorted. According to National Geographic, the village has a population of about 350 people, and the number of men there is roughly equal to the number of women. So why do photos give the impression that only women live there? The main reason is work. Almost all the men leave during the week to work in nearby cities and return home only on weekends. This creates the illusion that Brazilian women have formed a female-only community. A new human race, or just an extremely rare mutation? In Zimbabwe, some members of the Vadoma tribe are missing certain fingers or phalanges on their hands or feet, which is why they are often called two-toed. In medical literature, this condition is explained by hereditary ectrodactyly, a congenital trait that developed within an isolated human group. Most commonly among the Vadoma, it appears as a split foot. Scientists believe it follows an autosomal dominant inheritance pattern, meaning the trait is passed from parent to child with a 50% probability. In other words, every second child may be born with this condition. It's important to note that this is not a separate species of humans, but ordinary Homo sapiens with an extremely rare genetic mutation.
Deep in the Indian state of Kerala, there's a small village that has left scientists scratching their heads for decades. In Kodinhi, almost every family has at least one pair of twins. Walking through the streets, you'll see children who look like perfect copies of each other everywhere. It's not a coincidence or a trick of the eye. This place has an unusually high number of twins, far more than anywhere else in the country. Nobody knows for sure why this is happening. Some say it's genetics, others believe it has something to do with the local water or diet. What's even stranger is that this pattern has only started in the last century. Before that, the village was just like any other. Now, with hundreds of twins being born, it has become one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in the world of science. Doctors have visited, researchers have run tests, but no one has found a clear answer. The locals don't seem too concerned though. They see it as a blessing, something special about their home. Weddings here often turn into reunions of nearly identical faces. Schools have classrooms full of children who look alike, making it a challenge for teachers to tell them apart. People in Kodinhi don't just accept their unusual situation, they celebrate it. They even hold events where twins from all over the village come together in matching outfits. It has turned their home into a place of curiosity, where visitors come hoping to understand what makes this village so different. Scientists may still be searching for answers, but for the people of Kodinhi, life goes on as usual, just with a lot more mirror images than anywhere else. In the middle of Nebraska's endless plains, there's a town where the population sign doesn't need updating. It has read one for years. Manawi is the only officially incorporated town in the United States with just one resident. That resident is Elsie Eiler, an elderly woman who refuses to let her home disappear from the map. Elsie is the mayor, the bartender, the librarian, and the treasurer. Every year she submits the town's budget, pays taxes to herself, and renews her own liquor license to keep Manawi's only business running, a small tavern that she operates alone. Travelers and truckers who pass through stop by for a cold drink, a warm meal, and a chance to meet the woman who keeps an entire town alive by herself. Years ago, Manawi was a small but functioning town with families, schools, and stores. As jobs disappeared, people moved away, and eventually, it was just Elsie and her husband Rudy. When he passed away, she became the last person left. But instead of leaving, she stayed. She keeps Manawi going in his memory, tending to the library filled with Rudy's books and keeping the lights on in the town they built together. Most people can't imagine living alone in a town, but for Elsie, it's home. She enjoys the peace and the steady stream of visitors who come just to meet her. She laughs when asked if she ever gets lonely. After all, in Manawi, she's never really alone. There's always someone passing through, eager to hear her story and witness the smallest town in America still standing thanks to one remarkable woman. Nestled along Italy's southern coast, hidden between olive groves and the blue waters of the Mediterranean, lies a village where time seems to slow down. Acciaroli isn't just another picturesque Italian town, it's a place where people routinely live past 100, not just a few lucky ones but many. In a village of just a few thousand residents, an astonishing number of them are centenarians. Scientists have spent years trying to figure out their secret. Is it the diet? The locals eat fresh fish, homegrown vegetables, and plenty of rosemary, a herb known for its health benefits. Maybe it's their way of life. They don't stress over the future, they walk everywhere, they breathe in the clean sea air. Unlike in big cities, there's no rush, no traffic, no endless list of things to do. Life here follows the rhythm of the waves. Doctors have studied their blood, searching for some hidden genetic advantage, but the answer might be simpler than that. They just live differently. Many of the oldest residents have never set foot in a hospital. They don't count calories, they don't follow health trends, and yet, they reach 100 with ease. Some still work in their gardens, others take long walks through the hills. When asked about their longevity, most shrug. They drink wine, they laugh with friends, and they don't worry about things they can't control. In Acciaroli, old age isn't something to fear, it's just another stage of life, one that can last a very long time. But not every place is this peaceful. Just across the ocean there's a town where life couldn't be more different. A place where no one is in a hurry, because no one is allowed to leave. Deep in the heart of Bolivia, hidden behind thick stone walls, there is a place that looks like a town, but isn't. San Pedro Prison is unlike any prison in the world. There are no uniformed guards patrolling the hallways, no rows of cold metal cells. Instead, inside these walls you'll find homes, markets, even restaurants. Families live here, children run through the streets. But every single resident has one thing in common: they're prisoners. San Pedro doesn't function like a normal prison. Here, inmates don't just serve their sentences, they create a society of their own. They buy and sell goods, some run small businesses, others cook meals for their neighbors. Instead of being assigned a cell, prisoners have to buy or rent their own living space. The wealthiest have apartments with TVs and kitchens, while the poorest sleep in overcrowded rooms. Money determines everything. Those who can afford it live well, those who can't struggle just like they would outside. And then there are the families. Unlike in most prisons, inmates here can live with their wives and children. Kids grow up inside, play in the courtyards, and even leave for school each morning before returning at night. To them, San Pedro is home. Some of them have never known anything else, but life inside isn't easy. There are no official guards inside the prison walls. Order is maintained by the prisoners themselves, and those who break the unwritten rules face harsh consequences. It's a world of its own, a functioning society behind locked gates. Yet while San Pedro forces its residents to stay, there's another place far away where people live surrounded by water, drifting on handmade islands. Their homes don't have walls, and their village floats freely on a lake that has been their home for centuries. High in the Andes, where the air is thin and the mountains meet the sky, there is a lake so vast it seems endless. Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world, holds a secret: entire villages that float on the water. The Uros people have lived here for centuries, not on land but on islands they build with their own hands. These islands are made of totora reeds, a plant that grows in the shallow waters of the lake. Layer by layer the reeds are stacked and tied together, creating a floating platform strong enough to hold houses, schools, and even watchtowers. Every few weeks fresh reeds are added on top, replacing the ones that rot beneath. It's constant work, but for the Uros it's life as usual. The people here rarely set foot on solid ground. They fish in the lake, cook in clay ovens placed on stone bases to avoid fires, and paddle small reed boats from island to island. Everything moves with the water. Even the islands themselves can be relocated if needed. In the past, this helped the Uros escape threats from rival tribes. Today it keeps their traditions alive in a changing world. Some islands welcome visitors, selling handcrafted goods and sharing their way of life. Others remain closed, preserving traditions passed down for generations. The Uros are not just surviving on the water, they have mastered it. Their villages may seem fragile, but they have endured for centuries, floating through time on the surface of the lake. But while the Uros built their home on water, far across the world, another isolated community chose a different path, one of stone, faith, and an unwavering rule that has stood for 1,000 years. On the northern coast of Greece, rising above the Aegean Sea, stands Mount Athos. It is not just a mountain but a world of its own, a place where time moves at a different pace. Here, in a collection of ancient monasteries, men have lived and prayed in isolation for over 1,000 years, and no woman has set foot here in all that time. The monks of Mount Athos follow strict religious traditions. They wake before dawn, spending their days in prayer, tending to gardens, and preserving manuscripts older than most nations. Life here is simple. No distractions, no outside noise, just devotion. They believe this isolation brings them closer to God. The rule forbidding women dates back to the 10th century and is enforced without exception. Even female animals are banned, except for cats, which help control the rodent population. Some have challenged the rule over the years, but the monks remain firm. To them, Mount Athos is a spiritual refuge, untouched by the outside world. Few outsiders ever step beyond its borders. Special permission is required and only men can receive it. Those who visit find themselves in a place frozen in time. Byzantine frescoes cover the monastery walls, chants echo through stone corridors, and the outside world feels impossibly far away. For the monks, this life is a choice, a commitment to a way of living that has not changed for centuries. But not all isolated communities choose silence. In another remote village across the ocean, an entire town communicates in a way most people would never expect, without words, but with a language of their own. Tucked away in the jungles of Bali, there is a village where silence isn't a limitation, it's a way of life. Bengkala is home to an unusually high number of deaf residents, a rare genetic condition passed down for generations. But here, deafness is not seen as a disability. It is simply another way to exist. For centuries, the people of Bengkala have adapted, creating their own form of communication, Kata Kolak, a unique sign language developed entirely within the village. Unlike the sign languages used elsewhere in the world, this one was built specifically for the rhythms of life here. Everyone in Bengkala, whether deaf or hearing, uses it fluently. There is no division. A conversation between neighbors flows just as easily in gestures as it would in spoken words. Daily life carries on just as it does anywhere else. Farmers work in the fields, shopkeepers sell goods, children play in the streets. The only difference is that spoken words are not necessary. There are no honking car horns or loudspeaker announcements, just the sounds of nature and the quiet movements of people who have mastered a language of the hands. What makes Bengkala truly remarkable is its approach to inclusivity. In most societies, the deaf must adapt to the hearing world. Here, the hearing have adapted to the deaf. There is no stigma, no one is left out. In Bengkala, silence is not a barrier. It's just another voice in a village that listens with its eyes. Off the coast of Colombia, in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, lies a tiny island no bigger than 2 soccer fields. But what makes Santa Cruz del Islote truly astonishing isn't its size, it's the sheer number of people who call it home. With over 1,200 residents packed into an area less than 3 acres, it is one of the most densely populated places in the world. There are no cars, no roads, and barely any space between the buildings. Houses are squeezed together, their walls almost touching. Every inch of the island is used. Rooftops serve as extra living spaces, and tiny alleyways double as gathering spots. Despite this, the people of Santa Cruz del Islote have built a life filled with warmth and community. Everyone knows each other. Doors are always open, and meals are often shared. Life here is simple, but tough. There's no running water, and electricity is only available for a few hours a day. Supplies must be brought in from the mainland, and when the island gets too crowded, some families move to boats anchored nearby. Still, the people stay because Santa Cruz isn't just an island, it's home, passed down through generations. From the sky, Santa Cruz looks impossibly small, almost swallowed by the sea. But for those who live here, it is everything. There is no empty land to expand, no space to grow, but there is laughter, resilience, and a way of life that thrives against the odds. Yet while the residents of Santa Cruz welcome visitors with open arms, there is another island far away where outsiders are met with silence, and sometimes, hostility. Deep in the Indian Ocean, hidden behind walls of dense jungle and surrounded by dangerous reefs, lies an island frozen in time. North Sentinel Island is home to the Sentinelese, one of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth. For thousands of years they have remained isolated, resisting every attempt at outside contact, and they will do whatever it takes to keep it that way. No one knows exactly how many Sentinelese live on the island. No one knows their language, their traditions, or their way of life. What is known is that they want nothing to do with the outside world. When helicopters fly overhead, they shoot arrows. When boats drift too close, they charge the shores with weapons raised. Even when natural disasters have struck, such as the 2004 tsunami, they have remained, untouched, unchanged. The Indian government has declared the island off-limits. No one is allowed to set foot there. In the past, a few explorers and fishermen have ignored the warnings, only to disappear. Those who did survive described a place untouched by modern civilization, where the people live as they did thousands of years ago. The Sentinelese don't just avoid the world, they actively push it away. In an age where technology connects almost every corner of the planet, this small island remains an impenetrable mystery. No photos, no recordings, no stories told by outsiders, just the thick jungle, the silent figures watching from the trees, and the knowledge that some places are not meant to be disturbed. But while North Sentinel Island remains untouched, there is another place where people live at the mercy of nature. A land that is disappearing year by year, sinking beneath the water, forcing its residents to watch as their home slowly vanishes. In the Bay of Bengal, where the river meets the sea, there is an island that is fighting a battle it cannot win. Goramara, a small village in India's Sundarbans region, is vanishing bit by bit, swallowed by the rising tides. Every year the island shrinks. Every year more homes are lost, and one day it may disappear completely. For decades, the people of Goramara have watched their land erode. Fields that once grew rice are now underwater. Roads have turned into muddy paths leading to nowhere. Some families have already left, forced to abandon the place their ancestors called home. Others stay, holding on to what little remains, refusing to surrender to the sea. The villagers do what they can, building walls of sandbags, reinforcing the shore with bamboo barriers. But the ocean always returns, taking more with each wave. Scientists say the island could be gone within a few decades, but to those who still live here, Goramara is not just a piece of land. It is their history, their identity, their last connection to a world that is slowly washing away. Each year, the island grows smaller, and each year, the people who remain wonder if this will be their last. They are fighting against something far bigger than themselves, yet they refuse to leave without a fight, because to them, Goramara is not just disappearing, it is still their home. Deep in the arid plains of Kenya, far from the reach of traditional society, stands a village where men are not welcome. Umoja, which means unity in Swahili, is a place built by women, for women. It was founded as a sanctuary, a place where those escaping forced marriages, domestic violence, and societal restrictions could start anew. Here women don't just survive, they thrive, proving that a community can function entirely on its own terms. There are no husbands, no male authority figures. Every decision is made collectively, from farming and security to trade and education. The women raise livestock, sell handmade crafts, and welcome visitors interested in learning about their way of life. Children grow up in a society where they see women in every leadership role. For them, this is normal. Occasionally, men from nearby villages try to challenge Umoja, upset by its existence. Some have attempted to reclaim their wives, others have tried to intimidate the women into leaving. But Umoja stands firm. The women protect each other, reminding the world that strength doesn't always come from physical power. It comes from unity, resilience, and the refusal to be controlled. While Umoja is a place of warmth and community, another village on the opposite side of the world is defined by something much harsher: cold. A place where the air can freeze skin in seconds, where metal sticks to bare hands, and where only the toughest survive. Far from Kenya's sun-baked lands, deep in the Russian wilderness, lies a town where winter never truly ends. Oymyakon is the coldest permanently inhabited settlement on the planet. In the dead of winter, temperatures here plunge to -80 degrees Fahrenheit. Cars left outside must run all night or their engines will freeze solid. Eyelashes turn to ice. Breathing in too deeply can make lungs ache. Yet people live here. They fish in frozen rivers, raise cattle, and send their children to school even when the air is colder than the surface of Mars. Life in Oymyakon is not for the weak. There are no grocery stores stocked with fresh produce. Food must be hunted, fished, or stored for months. Most homes rely on wood-burning stoves, and electricity can be unreliable. Despite the brutal conditions, the people here are used to it. They laugh at the idea of cold weather warnings seen in other countries. To them, this is normal. They wear thick fur coats, keep warm with hot soups and tea, and continue their lives as if the rest of the world wasn't watching in amazement. For all its hardships, Oymyakon has something few places can offer: stunning, untouched beauty. The snowy forests stretch endlessly, the night sky glows with stars, and the rivers freeze into sheets of crystal. But if the cold ever becomes too much, there is one place where escaping the elements means going underground, literally. In the middle of Australia's scorching outback, where the sun burns relentlessly and the ground cracks from heat, there is a town that has learned to escape the elements in an unusual way. Coober Pedy is not like other places, because most of it is underground. This small mining town is famous for its opals, some of the most valuable gemstones in the world. But with temperatures often reaching 110 degrees Fahrenheit, life above ground is unbearable. So, the residents built homes, churches, and even hotels beneath the earth, carving entire neighborhoods into the cool rock. Walking through Coober Pedy feels like stepping into another world. There are underground restaurants, museums, and bars. Tourists who visit can sleep in hotels dug into the rock, where the temperature stays cool year-round, no air conditioning needed. Above ground, the landscape is barren, resembling the surface of Mars. There are no trees, no rivers, just miles of desert stretching to the horizon. But despite the extreme conditions, people love it here. The miners continue their search for opals, families raise their children in underground homes, and the town remains a symbol of human adaptability. When the land refuses to cooperate, Coober Pedy proves that sometimes the best way to survive isn't to fight nature, it's to work around it. Deep in the Amazon, hidden from the modern world, a tribe exists unlike any other, a tribe of only men. No one knows exactly how this happened. Some say disease wiped out the women, others believe they were taken by rival tribes. Whatever the truth, these men have survived alone for generations. They hunt, build, and pass down their traditions. But without women, their future is uncertain. One day their way of life may vanish, leaving only whispers of a tribe that lived and disappeared deep in the jungle. When you first see a Chimbu warrior in full body paint, it's like watching a living, breathing skeleton step out of the shadows. They paint their entire bodies with stark white patterns over blackened skin, outlining every bone, ribs, spines, skulls, in intricate detail. The result is eerie, theatrical, and unbelievably striking. These are not just costumes, they're full-body illusions created with clay, ash, and natural pigments. This unique look didn't come from a love of performance alone. It started as a way to intimidate rival tribes. Surrounded by dense jungle and mountains, conflict was a part of life. The Chimbu found that dressing like spirits or the dead could terrify enemies into retreat. Over time, it became a deep cultural expression, and today, it's one of the most mind-blowing tribal traditions still practiced in the world. They often perform these dances during festivals or cultural shows, where their movements match the haunting designs on their bodies. Their sharp, sudden gestures mimic skeletons springing to life. It's not just impressive, it's hypnotic. You can't look away. Their skeleton dance is now recognized around the world. But to the Chimbu, it's more than a performance. It's power, it's protection, and it's pride. In a world that's changing fast, they've held tight to something truly one of a kind. Now let's head into the thick rainforests of southeastern Papua, where the Korowai tribe lives in houses that seem to float above the jungle. These aren't just tree houses, they're towering shelters built as high as 100 feet off the ground, perched in the treetops like wooden fortresses. Why so high? Partly to avoid floods, insects, and wild animals. But it's also a way to stay safe from outsiders and rival groups. Life here is far from city noise or internet signals. The Korowai still hunt with bows, fish with handmade tools, and sleep under thatched roofs in the canopy. Every bit of their day-to-day life is shaped by the rainforest around them. Climbing into a Korowai treehouse is an adventure on its own. They use vines and wooden poles like natural ladders. Kids grow up doing this daily, moving from treetop to treetop as casually as others walk down a sidewalk. Their world is vertical, green, and alive with sound. The Korowai were only discovered by the outside world in the 1970s. Since then, a few families have moved closer to local towns, but many remain deep in the jungle, far from roads and electricity. Their connection to the forest runs deep. It gives them food, shelter, and stories passed down for generations. And just when you thought things couldn't get more surreal, let's now drift to the sea, where an entirely different tribe spends life floating, not climbing. Off the coast of Southeast Asia, there's a group of people who live almost entirely on water. The Bajau, sometimes called sea nomads, don't just visit the ocean, they live on it, sleep on it, and dive into it daily with no hesitation. For centuries, the Bajau have lived on small wooden boats or stilt houses built above coral reefs. They travel between islands, fish using handmade spears, and can free dive to depths of over 65 feet without gear. Some Bajau kids learn to swim before they can walk. Many adults can hold their breath for up to 5 minutes underwater. No training, just tradition. They've adapted to the sea in ways that seem almost impossible. Scientists even found their spleens are larger than average, likely helping them dive deeper and longer. Their entire lives revolve around the rhythm of the ocean. Tides, fish, winds, and currents guide everything. There's something deeply peaceful about their way of life. No cars, no concrete, just water stretching in every direction, filled with color and life. You might spot a Bajau fisherman standing perfectly balanced at the edge of his boat, scanning the water with skills passed down for generations. From floating villages to painted warriors, now we turn inland to the Amazon, where another tribe fights to protect one of the richest forests on Earth. In the heart of Brazil's Amazon rainforest live the Kayapo. Bold, fearless, and instantly recognizable by their colorful body paint, feathered headdresses, and strong voices. These are people who don't just live in the rainforest, they fight for it. The Kayapo wear striking face and body paint made from natural dyes. Bright reds, deep blacks, vivid yellows. It's more than decoration. Each pattern carries meaning, marking status, age, and even moods. Their headdresses, made from parrot and macaw feathers, shine like living rainbows in the jungle light. But their real strength lies in resistance. For decades, the Kayapo have stood up against loggers, miners, and dam builders threatening their land. They've staged protests, formed alliances, and even used satellite maps to patrol their territory. Their leaders speak at global summits as well as forest gatherings, defending both their people and the Amazon. Still, their traditional life goes on. The Kayapo live in communal houses, grow cassava, fish in rivers, and pass on knowledge through dance and song. Their ceremonies are as rich as their land, filled with drumming, chants, and age-old rhythms. And next, we head to the blazing deserts of Namibia, where beauty takes on a whole new meaning among the Himba people. In the dry, sun-drenched lands of northern Namibia, the Himba people live in a way that feels like another time, yet they've never stopped moving forward in their own way. What sets them apart at first glance is their stunning appearance. Glowing red skin, thick braided hairstyles, and handcrafted jewelry that tells stories without a single word. The red hue that covers their bodies isn't makeup, it's a special mixture of butterfat and red ochre called ogies. It protects their skin from the brutal desert sun, but it also holds deep cultural meaning. It's beauty, tradition, and identity all in one. Their hair is styled into elaborate locks using the same ochre mix, each design signaling age, social status, and life stage. Himba women are the heartbeat of the community. They manage the household, raise cattle, and maintain spiritual traditions passed down for generations. Life here revolves around the cattle and the sacred fire, which links the living to their ancestors. There's no rush, no tech, just rhythm, tradition, and survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Despite growing interest from the outside world, the Himba hold firmly to their way of life. They've found a way to stay rooted in the past while navigating the present. Every detail, from their clothes to their homes, speaks to who they are and where they come from. Now let's leave the desert heat behind and climb into the cool, rugged valleys of the Hindu Kush, where another tribe lives with secrets, stories, and a splash of unexpected color. Tucked away in the remote valleys of northern Pakistan, the Kalash people live surrounded by towering peaks, ancient myths, and bursts of color that feel almost dreamlike. They're unlike any other group in the region, and no one's entirely sure where they came from. The Kalash stand out for many reasons. Their language is unique, their festivals are filled with music, dance, and wine, and their clothing? Bright, embroidered robes, beaded headpieces, and belts that shimmer in the mountain light. It's a vivid contrast to the muted colors of the rocky landscape around them. They follow a belief system rooted in nature and the changing seasons. Their gods live in the mountains and spirits fill the rivers and trees. Celebrations like Chilam Joshi welcome spring with feasts and dancing that can last for days. Everyone joins in, young, old, tourists if they're around, but the traditions stay proudly Kalash. Some believe they're descendants of Alexander the Great's soldiers. Others think their roots stretch even further back. Whatever the truth, the Kalash have preserved their culture for centuries, tucked away in high valleys with wooden homes stacked against the cliffs. From desert reds to mountain blues, we now travel even further north, into the frozen forests of Mongolia, where one of the world's rarest tribes lives side by side with reindeer. Far up in Mongolia's northern taiga, where winter bites hard and the trees never end, the Duka people live with one of the most magical animals on Earth: reindeer. They don't just herd them, they ride them, raise them, and rely on them in ways that are rare anywhere else. The Duka are nomads. Their homes are portable felt tents, and they move with the seasons, following the paths of their reindeer through forests thick with snow. These animals are everything: transportation, milk, connection to the spirit world. Children grow up riding them like ponies, learning to balance and steer through dense, icy terrain. Their way of life is deeply tied to nature. They hunt, fish, and gather just enough to live. Shamans are still part of the culture, performing rituals to heal or guide the community. Even their language carries words you won't find outside the forest. Words for snow types, wind shapes, and animal tracks. With fewer than 300 Duka left, this culture is fragile but powerful. They've adapted to one of the planet's harshest environments with grace and balance. When you see a child riding a reindeer through the frozen woods, this isn't just survival. It's a way of life that feels both ancient and enchanted. Deep in the heart of Central Africa, researchers recently uncovered a tribe like no other, a community made up entirely of women. No men, no outsiders, just a group living in isolation, dressed in intricate jewelry and ceremonial coils, moving gracefully through the forest like they've done for generations. Locals had spoken of them for years, but no one had proof until now. The tribe remains largely a mystery. Their language is still being studied, and their traditions are only beginning to be understood. Everything about them, from their self-sufficiency to their rituals, suggests a culture that's rare, powerful, and entirely unique. Why they live apart is still unknown. But one thing's certain: as incredible as this discovery is, it's not the only one. Around the world there are other tribes where women lead, and you'll meet them very soon. Hidden high in the mountains near Lugu Lake in southwestern China lives one of the rarest social systems in the world: the Mosuo, often called the last matriarchal society in China. Here, women are the heads of households, property is passed down through the female line, and the grandmother is often the most respected person in the family. But what truly makes the Mosuo fascinating is their unique approach to relationships. Instead of traditional marriage, they practice what's known as walking marriages. In this system, women choose their partners freely, and men visit their partner's home at night, returning to their own families by morning. There's no cohabitation, no shared property, and children are raised by the woman's family. It's a system built on trust, independence, and choice. The Mosuo live in tight-knit communities, raising livestock, growing crops, and holding on to centuries-old customs. Despite increasing tourism and outside interest, many Mosuo women continue to lead with quiet strength and pride, shaping a society that flips conventional norms on their head. They've built a peaceful, functional world where women make the rules. And for the Mosuo, that's just how it's always been. High in the canyons of northern Mexico, the Tarahumara people, or Raramuri, meaning those who run fast, have stunned the world with a natural gift running. But this isn't just sport, it's part of life. The Tarahumara run across rocky cliffs, narrow paths, and desert trails, often barefoot or wearing handmade sandals, covering distances up to 100 miles without stopping. They don't train like athletes. Their strength comes from daily life, walking miles to farms, chasing game, and delivering messages between villages. It's normal for Tarahumara kids to start running at a young age, keeping pace with their elders like it's second nature. Running is spiritual too. It's tied to festivals, ceremonies, and even competitions where they chase wooden balls over huge distances. Their endurance has amazed marathoners and researchers alike, and in a world driven by speed, the Tarahumara show us something different: how to move with strength, balance, and calm across the land they've called home for centuries. In the green rolling hills of India's Nilgiri Mountains lives a tribe unlike any other, the Toda. Known for their curved, barrel-shaped houses that resemble hobbit homes, the Toda people have built a quiet world full of deep traditions and sacred connections to nature. Their homes, made of bamboo and thatch, have tiny doors you have to crawl through, said to keep out wild animals and bad spirits. But what really defines the Toda culture is their bond with buffalo. These animals are central to their beliefs, rituals, and even daily meals. Toda women wear thick draped shawls with black and red embroidery, while the men often tend the buffalo and chant ancient prayers during ceremonies. Their language is unique and not spoken outside the tribe. Though their numbers are small, their culture is incredibly rich. a mix of mystery, beauty, and simplicity. And while modernization has touched their region, the Toda still protect their quiet world among the hills, where curved rooftops and sacred pastures hide stories passed down for generations. Clinging to the steep mountainsides of northern Luzon, the Ifugao people carved out one of humanity's most breathtaking creations, the Banawe rice terraces. Built over 2,000 years ago using only hand tools, these terraces still produce rice today, flowing with water from the surrounding forests like living stairways to the clouds. The Ifugao didn't just build for farming. Their terraces are part of a spiritual system that honors ancestors, the land, and balance. Every planting season comes with rituals, offerings, and songs that tie the harvest to the heart of their culture. Their homes are made of wood, raised on stilts, and their clothing reflects their traditions. Bright woven fabrics with red, black, and white patterns. Elders still share oral stories passed down through centuries, keeping history alive through words, not books. Despite modernization creeping in, the Ifugao remain proud stewards of their land. To this day, those ancient terraces stand not just as farmland, but as a living symbol of what human hands and belief can build together. Stretching from Senegal to Sudan, the Fulani people are among Africa's most widespread tribes, yet they've managed to keep their culture intact through movement, music, and memory. Known for their graceful way of life, the Fulani are mostly pastoralists, moving with their cattle through grasslands, deserts, and open plains. You'll recognize them by their stunning traditional clothing, long flowing robes, detailed hairstyles, and silver jewelry that catches the light. Fulani women often decorate their hair with beads and wear bold facial tattoos that carry cultural meaning. Despite living across so many countries, the Fulani speak related languages and follow a shared code of behavior called Pulaaku, centered on patience, self-control, and respect. Their music and storytelling traditions are rich and poetic, carried by voice, flute, and string instruments. They've adapted to changing landscapes, shifting borders, and growing cities, but still find ways to honor their nomadic roots. The Fulani are a living thread through the fabric of West and Central Africa, always moving, always remembering. Deep in the dense jungles along the border of Brazil and Venezuela live the Yanomami, one of the largest isolated tribes in South America. Hidden from the world for centuries, their homes are built in massive circular structures called shabanos, open in the center like miniature villages under a single roof. The Yanomami live close to nature. They hunt with bows, fish with handmade tools, and grow bananas, cassava, and other crops in garden plots. Their knowledge of the rainforest is vast. They know every sound, every plant, every shift in the wind. But it's not just survival. Their lives are woven with rituals, storytelling, and spiritual beliefs that tie them to the forest and the spirits within it. Shamans play an important role, healing and guiding the community using chants and herbs. Today, they face growing threats from outsiders, but they continue to protect their land with strength and unity. The Yanomami aren't just rainforest dwellers, they're its defenders, holding one of the last great wildernesses together, one day at a time. Across the deserts and dry plains of Gujarat and Rajasthan, the Rabari people move with quiet grace. They're traditional herders and pastoralists, known as much for their cattle and camels as they are for their striking appearance. Dressed in vivid red veils and long black garments, Rabari women stand out against the sandy backdrop like living tapestries. The Rabari are constantly on the move, following grazing routes that change with the seasons. Their culture is full of symbolism, from the silver jewelry stacked on their arms to the tattoos etched into their skin. Each line and pattern tells a story. These tattoos are part of identity, protection, and legacy. Their embroidery work is world famous. It's bright, detailed, and entirely handmade, often stitched with mirrors and vibrant threads that reflect the sun. Despite the hardships of nomadic life, the Rabari keep their traditions alive in every stitch, every story, and every caravan that crosses the horizon. They carry their culture with them like a second skin, embroidered, marked, and full of movement. In the lush rainforests of Siberut Island in Indonesia, the Mentawai people live in harmony with the land, the spirits, and their ancestors. They're known for their full-body tattoos, swirling black patterns that cover arms, legs, and backs. These aren't just for decoration. Every design has meaning tied to the spirit world and a person's place in the tribe. The Mentawai sharpen their teeth as part of a beauty ritual, believing it connects them to the animal spirits around them. Their way of life is deeply spiritual. They believe everything, trees, rivers, animals, holds a soul. Shamanic ceremonies, guided by spiritual healers, help keep balance between humans and nature. They live in long wooden houses called uma, shared by extended families, surrounded by thick forest and wild rivers. Hunting, fishing, and sago harvesting are part of daily life, done with techniques passed down for generations. Even with outside pressure, many Mentawai still choose to live traditionally, holding fast to their identity, marked in ink and memory. In the dense green heart of the Brazilian Amazon lives a tribe that may be the most threatened on Earth, the AWA. With a population of only a few hundred, some still live in complete isolation, moving silently through the forest with bows in hand and families at their side. The AWA are expert hunters and gatherers. They walk barefoot, blending into the jungle with ease. They're known for their close bond with animals, often adopting orphaned monkeys, parrots, and other creatures as family, raising them alongside their children. Their lives depend entirely on the forest. Every tree, stream, and animal has a role in survival. But that way of life is under constant threat from deforestation and illegal logging. Despite these challenges, the AWA remain one of the last tribes to live so closely with nature, resisting outside influence and holding on to their ancestral ways. They are not relics of the past. They're living proof that another way of life is possible, even in a vanishing world. Scattered across over 300 islands in the Caribbean waters of Panama, the Kuna, also known as Guna people, have built a life surrounded by sea, sky, and tradition. Their islands are small, flat, and sunlit, but their culture is anything but simple. The Kuna are especially known for their molas, layered textiles made by women using reverse applique techniques. These bright geometric patterns tell stories, reflect nature, and are worn proudly across the islands. Women play a central role in Kuna society, especially in family and economic matters. In some villages, it's the woman's family that a husband joins after marriage. They also have strong self-governance, maintaining their own leadership and community rules, even while being part of Panama. Their vibrant dances, music, and colorful clothing make Kuna villages feel alive with movement. While tourism has brought change, the Kuna continue to protect their culture, language, and islands, facing rising sea levels and modernization with steady pride. In the hills of Papua New Guinea, the Chambuli people turned Western ideas of gender upside down. Studied by anthropologist Margaret Mead in the 1930s, the Chambuli became known for flipping what most cultures consider normal gender roles. Here, women took the lead. They handled trade, made decisions, and ran the household. Men, on the other hand, were more concerned with beauty, art, and social gatherings. They decorated themselves and spent time preparing their appearance for ceremonies and events. This balance wasn't seen as strange to them. It was simply how things were. Their culture valued different contributions, and those roles worked in harmony with daily life. Though modern influences have shifted some of these dynamics, the Chambuli remain an important example of how flexible and diverse human culture can be. They remind us that tradition isn't fixed. It's shaped by people, place, and the stories we choose to carry forward. From mountaintops to deep jungles, these tribes show us just how diverse, creative, and incredible human culture can be, and still is today. In the far north of Australia, there's a land where ancient traditions live on as if time barely touched them. Arnhem Land is home to some of the oldest continuous cultures on Earth. The Aboriginal people here are the keepers of Dreamtime, a rich, powerful belief system that explains the creation of the world, the land, and everything that walks, swims, or flies. Their stories aren't just myths to them, they are living maps. Every rock, tree, and river carries meaning. Paths carved into the ground thousands of years ago still guide their movements today. Some paintings found on cave walls here are over 20,000 years old, and locals still know what each figure means. They don't see these artworks as ancient history. They are part of their everyday world. The people of Arnhem Land live deeply connected to nature. They hunt with handmade spears, fish using traditional methods, and gather bush foods from landscapes most outsiders would call harsh. Instead, they see it as abundant. Every plant and animal fits perfectly into their way of life. One of the most incredible sights is the ceremonial dances. Dressed in striking body paint and feathers, they move with a rhythm that feels both primal and impossibly graceful. The dances retell ancient stories, passing knowledge across generations without a single written word. In Arnhem Land, history breathes in every heartbeat. Far from Australia's ancient rock paintings, deep in the rugged hills of Sudan, lives a community that treats the body like a living canvas. The Nuba people are famous for their stunning body art and legendary wrestling matches. Covered head to toe in white, yellow, or red earth pigments, they transform themselves into walking works of art. Every swirl and pattern tells a story of family, land, or personal strength. Wrestling here isn't just a sport, it's a major event that draws entire villages together. Competitors train for months, building strength under the hot African sun. When they meet in the arena, it's a test of skill, speed, and pride. Victory is celebrated with traditional songs and dances, but defeat never carries shame. For the Nuba, these contests are about honoring their ancestors and sharpening their bodies and minds. Their homes, tucked into rocky cliffs, blend perfectly into the dry, golden landscape. Life here demands resilience. Crops are grown in small, hand-tilled fields and herds are protected fiercely. Even under intense heat, the Nuba people keep their traditions alive, balancing a tough lifestyle with moments of vivid celebration. And now, from the dusty arenas of Sudan, we dive into the endless waters of Southeast Asia. If the Nuba mastered the land, the Moken people have mastered the sea. Known as the Sea Gypsies, they spend most of their lives on small boats, drifting between islands off the coasts of Thailand and Myanmar. To them, the ocean isn't a boundary, it's home. Children here learn to swim before they even learn to walk. Some Moken can hold their breath underwater for minutes, diving for fish and shellfish without any special gear. Their connection to the sea is so deep that they can spot changes in watercolor and currents that most others would miss. This sharp awareness once saved entire Moken communities during massive waves, as they recognized the signs and moved to safety before disaster struck. Traditional Moken boats, called kabangs, are handcrafted from wood without using nails. Life on these boats is simple but rich, fishing, cooking, telling stories under open skies. During certain seasons, some Moken temporarily settle on land, building small bamboo homes before returning to the waves. Their way of life, free from the noise of the modern world, feels almost like a memory from a different time. But now, let's head far north, where ice and mystery hide an Arctic tribe few have even heard of. At the edge of the known Arctic, on the frozen lands of Canada's Southampton Island, once lived a people so isolated that even neighboring Inuit knew little about them. They were the Saddlermiut, a group whose customs, language, and way of life seemed frozen in time. No one knew exactly where they came from. Some thought they were the last survivors of an ancient culture, untouched by outside hands. Living in stone and sod houses, they adapted to brutal winters in ways that almost seemed impossible. Their tools, made of bone and stone, were simple but perfectly suited to the icy world around them. The Saddlermiut relied on seal hunting, fishing, and gathering what little the tundra could offer. They moved across the ice in small, determined groups wrapped tightly in furs, always working together to survive the cold that could snap at any moment. Unlike other Arctic groups, the Saddlermiut kept their distance from visitors. They rarely traded, avoided outsiders, and held on to their old ways stubbornly. Even their clothing styles and hunting methods stayed unique, untouched by nearby innovations. To this day, researchers puzzle over exactly who they were. In a world rushing forward, the Saddlermiut stood still, guarding their mysteries until the very end. High in the misty mountains of Peru lived a people the Spanish conquerors called the Chachapoya, the Cloud Warriors. They earned their name because their villages floated above the clouds, hidden in thick forests and perched along sheer cliffs. To survive in such a wild landscape, the Chachapoya became master builders. They carved out stone cities, built tall towers, and created massive cliffside tombs that still puzzle archaeologists today. Unlike the desert-dwelling civilizations of ancient Peru, the Chachapoya thrived in lush green cloud forests. They grew crops on steep mountainsides, wove fine textiles and crafted pottery decorated with bold, haunting faces. Even their burial practices were unique. Instead of hiding graves underground, they placed their dead in sarcophagi shaped like human figures, standing proudly on ledges hundreds of feet above the valleys below. The Chachapoya didn't just build impressive cities, they were fierce fighters. Protected by fog and treacherous terrain, they resisted outsiders for centuries. Even when absorbed into the expanding Inca Empire, they kept much of their identity intact. Today, traces of their cities like Cuelap, a massive fortress high above the clouds, still stand as silent witnesses to a world that few outsiders ever saw. And speaking of hidden worlds, let's head north, deep into the thick jungles of Mexico, where another ancient culture still beats quietly among the trees. In the dense green heart of Mexico's Chiapas jungle, where rivers twist like snakes and trees block out the sun, lives the Lacandon Maya, one of the last communities holding on to ancient Maya traditions. While most of the Maya cities fell centuries ago, and many Maya descendants adapted to city life, the Lacandon stayed hidden in the forest, guarding secrets of survival known only to them. They live in small, isolated groups, growing maize and gathering fruits from the rainforest. Hunting is done with simple bows and arrows, and their houses are made from wood and palm leaves, blending almost invisibly into the jungle. Their traditional clothing is simple long white tunics that seem to reflect the surrounding light, making them look like ghosts among the trees. The Lacandon have a deep spiritual connection to the forest. They believe that every tree, river and animal holds a spirit, and rituals are performed to maintain balance with the natural world. In some places, ancient Maya temples still stand nearby, swallowed by vines and roots. The Lacandon see them not as ruins but as living places, still pulsing with energy from their ancestors. Through centuries of storms, change and outside pressure, the Lacandon managed something almost no one else did. They kept their world hidden, intact and alive, under the green cover of the jungle. In the dry, rocky cliffs of Mali, the Dogon people built a world that seems woven between earth and sky. Their villages cling to stone walls, their houses stacked like ancient steps toward the heavens. But what really captured global attention wasn't their architecture. It was their knowledge of the stars. Long before telescopes could see it, the Dogon spoke of Sirius B, a tiny star invisible to the naked eye. They described it as a heavy, dense companion to the bright Sirius star. They even knew it had an elliptical orbit, a fact confirmed by modern science only in the 20th century. How did they know? Some suggest ancient contact with unknown travelers, others believe the knowledge was passed down from an earlier, lost civilization. The Dogon themselves say it's part of their sacred teachings. Beyond the stars, their everyday life is just as fascinating. The Dogon carve elaborate wooden masks, each used in ceremonies that honor spirits and ancestors. Their mask dances bring whole villages together, the movement and colors retelling stories older than memory. Farming millet on rocky ground, they coax life out of one of the harshest landscapes on Earth, just as they coax hidden meanings out of the sky. Now, we leave the dry cliffs behind and descend into one of the world's wildest jungles, where homes don't touch the ground at all. Deep in the rainforests of Papua New Guinea lives a tribe that built their entire world high above the jungle floor. The Korowai people are famous for living in massive tree houses, some perched over 90 feet above the ground. These towering homes keep them safe from floods, animals, and according to old beliefs, from dangerous spirits roaming below. Every treehouse is a masterpiece of engineering without a single nail or metal part. Made from branches, vines, and sago palm leaves, they are built almost entirely by hand. Families move quickly up notched poles to reach their homes, balancing with an ease that looks impossible to outsiders. Life among the treetops means seeing the world from a different angle, the jungle as an endless green sea stretching beyond the horizon. The Korowai grow bananas and sago, hunt with bows and fish in muddy rivers, using skills passed down for generations. Storytelling is vital, with myths about the spirits of the forest guiding their daily life. Despite their isolation, the Korowai have adapted quickly to certain outside influences, balancing ancient ways with carefully chosen changes. High above the ground, surrounded by endless green, the Korowai prove that sometimes survival depends on thinking vertically, not just forward. In one of the most remote Arctic valleys, a team of scientists made a discovery that stunned the world. Beneath layers of ancient ice, they found the remains of what appears to be a massive migration, thousands of figures frozen in motion. Nearby, strange artifacts and carvings depict fierce warriors with sharp features and elaborate body markings, completely unlike any known Arctic cultures. Genetic analysis hints at a long-lost branch of humanity, raising more questions than answers. Who were they, and how did an entire civilization vanish without a trace? It is still unknown. In the holy city of Varanasi, India, by the slow-moving waters of the Ganges River, lives a group whose way of life challenges almost every idea of comfort and fear. They are the Aghori monks, mystics who seek purity by facing the things most people run from. Where others see decay and darkness, the Aghori see a path to enlightenment. Their practices are built on the belief that everything in the world, no matter how uncomfortable, is part of the divine. Instead of turning away from what is considered impure, they embrace it fully. They live among ancient riverbanks, meditate in isolated places, and cover themselves in ash from sacred fires. Their appearance is striking: bodies dusted in gray, necklaces made from symbolic beads, and deep eyes that seem to look far beyond the surface of things. The Agori challenge the idea of fear by living without traditional comforts. They often renounce family ties, material possessions, and even conventional homes. Their days are spent meditating, chanting, and connecting deeply with the world around them. To them, true freedom comes not by avoiding the difficult parts of life but by walking straight through them without flinching. Deep in the dense jungles of Ecuador lives the Huaorani, a people whose bond with the rainforest is so complete that they are often called its fierce guardians. For generations, the Huaorani lived almost entirely isolated, moving silently through the green maze of trees and rivers. Their knowledge of the Amazon is unmatched. They know which plants heal, which rivers hide fish, and which paths are safe when storms roll in. Traditionally, Huaorani hunted with long blowguns and handmade spears, moving with such skill that they could seem almost invisible among the trees. Their villages are small and built to blend into the forest, with homes made from wood and palm leaves. Every step they take through the jungle carries the weight of generations of survival knowledge. Language among the Huaorani is rich and full of unique words for the endless shades of green around them. Stories are passed from one generation to the next, not with books, but through songs, dances, and oral traditions. In recent years, some Huaorani have chosen to interact more with the outside world, while others still remain deep within the forest, choosing the old ways. From the tangled jungles of the Amazon, we now travel across continents to the snowy edges of Europe, where a different kind of nomadic life has endured for thousands of years. Across the sweeping, snowy landscapes of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and parts of Russia, the Sami people have lived for centuries, thriving where the winters are long and the sun barely rises. Unlike most Arctic groups tied closely to the sea, the Sami turned inland, building a life around one of the most iconic animals of the north: the reindeer. For the Sami, reindeer are more than just animals. They are essential companions, providing transport, food, and clothing. Traditional Sami clothing, called gakti, is brightly colored, detailed with patterns that often tell where a person's family comes from. During festivals, the sight of Sami herders dressed in gakti guiding hundreds of reindeer across snowy fields is something unforgettable. Their homes, called lavu, are shaped like teepees and designed to withstand brutal Arctic winds. Inside, fires burn through long, dark winters, keeping families warm while stories are shared about ancestors, spirits, and the ancient forces of nature. Even today, many Sami maintain strong traditions of reindeer herding, fishing, and crafting. Hidden deep in the rugged forests of Palawan Island, the Batak people live a life shaped by the rhythms of the land. Their name means mountain people, and it fits perfectly. They are among the smallest and oldest indigenous groups in the Philippines, with traditions stretching back thousands of years. The Batak survive by blending hunting, gathering, and farming in ways that feel almost invisible to outsiders. They know which tree bark can heal a fever, where the rivers will offer the best catch, and how to move quietly through thick jungle without disturbing the forest's deeper life. Their connection to nature isn't just practical, it's spiritual. Every stream, rock, and old tree is believed to hold a spirit. Before hunting or gathering, the Batak often perform small ceremonies to ask permission from the unseen guardians of the forest. Their homes are built from bamboo and palm leaves, light enough to be moved if needed. In Batak culture, community ties are everything. Decisions are made together, and survival depends on sharing knowledge, food, and protection. Even today, despite pressures from modern life, many Batak still pass down ancient survival skills to their children, teaching them not just how to live in the forest, but how to live with it. Deep within the thick rainforests of Ecuador and northern Peru lives the Shuar, a people long known for their unmatched connection to the jungle and their incredible warrior traditions. Among all indigenous groups of the Amazon, the Shuar stand out for a very unusual practice that captured global imagination. They are known as the last people to create ceremonial shrunken trophies from their enemies, though today this ritual is no longer practiced. The Shuar's true strength, though, lies in how deeply they understand the jungle around them. Their homes are hidden beneath towering trees, their paths invisible to outsiders. They hunt with blowguns and spears, gather fruits, and use powerful medicinal plants known only to them. Every step they take is careful, learned over generations of surviving in one of the world's most intense environments. The Shuar see the forest as a living, breathing world. Spirits are said to dwell in rivers, trees, and animals. Their rituals, from dances to chants, are ways to keep harmony between people and the natural world. Even their traditional face paintings are not just for beauty, they mark important stages of life and battles fought. Now, leaving the hidden trails of the Amazon behind, we journey north into icy wilderness, where reindeer herders still follow ancient paths across endless white landscapes. Tucked away in the forests of Sri Lanka, the Vedas live a life that has changed little over thousands of years. They are considered the island's oldest indigenous people, with roots reaching back before recorded history. Even today, the Veda communities keep close ties to the forests, rivers, and caves that have shaped their traditions. Traditional Veda life revolves around hunting, gathering, and simple farming. They move lightly through the jungle, skilled in using bows and arrows to hunt deer and small game. They also collect honey, a food prized not only for its sweetness but for its spiritual importance. Honey gathering trips are often accompanied by chants asking the forest spirits for safe passage. Their homes are basic but perfectly adapted to their environment. Simple huts made from wood and leaves, offering shelter during the island's heavy rains. Language among the Vedas was once entirely their own, though today many speak Sinhala, while still holding onto ancient words and expressions. Storytelling remains vital. Around evening fires, elders pass down the myths of creation, the deeds of great ancestors, and lessons about living with respect for nature. The Vedas show that survival isn't just about fighting the wild, it's about living as part of it. Deep in the dense green heart of the Amazon, the Yanomami people live almost entirely cut off from the modern world. Straddling the borders of Brazil and Venezuela, they have called the rainforest home for centuries. Their villages, called Chabonos, are massive communal structures built from wood and palm leaves, housing dozens of families under one giant roof. Life under the Chabono is built on sharing, food, stories, and protection from the wild. The Yanomami are expert hunters using bows and arrows tipped with natural poisons, and they cultivate gardens that burst with bananas, manioc, and tropical fruits. They have an astonishing knowledge of the forest's hidden pharmacy, using plants to heal wounds, ease fevers, and even calm restless spirits. Spiritual life among the Yanomami is rich and layered. Shamans, guided by the spirits of the forest, help maintain the balance between humans and nature. Every living thing is part of the great web of life, a belief that shapes how the Yanomami hunt, gather, and raise their children. Their existence shows that true survival isn't just about taking from the land, but about listening to it. In the dense, tangled forests of Ecuador's Yasuni National Park, a people live almost completely unseen, the Taramanain. They are one of the last uncontacted tribes in the world, moving silently through the trees, avoiding roads, plains, and any sign of the outside world. Few have even glimpsed them, and even fewer have earned their trust. The Taramanan build their shelters from fallen trees and woven leaves, moving often to keep ahead of threats and to follow the forest's rhythms. They hunt monkeys and birds with blowguns, fish in hidden streams, and gather fruits from towering trees. Everything they need comes from the rainforest. Unlike many tribes who have opened small windows to the modern world, the Taramanan have chosen complete isolation. They communicate through signs, sounds, and a language that remains almost entirely undocumented. Their decision to remain hidden protects them, not just from disease but from losing a way of life that has lasted for generations. They are living proof that deep within the modern world, there are still mysteries untouched by time. Across the frozen tundras of northern Siberia, where temperatures drop below -50 degrees Fahrenheit, and daylight can vanish for months, the Nenets people have mastered survival against the odds. For generations they have followed the migration of their reindeer herds across thousands of miles, moving with the seasons in a rhythm older than recorded history. Their homes, called chum, are round tents made from reindeer hides stretched over wooden poles. In a landscape where trees are rare and snow dominates the horizon, these portable shelters offer warmth, light, and a center for family life. Moving across ice-crusted rivers and endless white plains, the Nenets guide their herds with a skill passed down for centuries, reading subtle changes in the wind and snow the way sailors read the sea. Reindeer are everything. They provide clothing, transport, food, and even the material to build shelter. Children learn early how to ride, herd, and care for these vital animals. Life here is hard, but it is rich in traditions. Colorful festivals, songs sung under vast skies, and ceremonies asking the spirits for safe passage through winter storms. The Nenets show that even in the coldest, harshest corners of the planet, life can not only survive, it can thrive, carrying forward stories, songs, and hope across frozen lands. That's about it. Which tribe surprised you the most? Write in the comments.